Hello and welcome to Your Questions Answered with Father Gruner. I'm John Veneri. In this program, we take the questions that you send us via email, and Father Gruner answers them, and we have discussions about them. So keep sending us these questions at questions@thefatimacenter.com. Today's question is, I had heard that a priest in France in the 1800s consecrated his near-empty parish to the Immaculate Heart of Mary, and a tremendous amount of good fruits were produced. Can you give some guidelines on how to perform such a consecration and which prayers are used? Is it done as part of the liturgy? And the person says that his parish is trying to do this on Mother's Day and they need some advice.
So, well, first of all, John, I think you know the story yourself, and it was a priest in Paris in 1836 or thereabouts.
Yes.
And perhaps you can tell us, I know that you published this recently in the Catholic Family News about this story.
Yeah, I have a bit of the story, the overall frame story, and that is that Father Desjeuner, I think that's how we say his name, Father Desjeuner. Anyway, he was a priest in France, and it was a church that was not very well attended. It was in the heavily
Masonic area.
I think. If I remember, there were at least 2 Masonic newspapers
or
in the
Masonic
area.
temple, it's called temple.
And temples too,
you
so-called.
even look at the word temple. You know, a temple is a kind of a church. A Masonic temple is because it's a Masonic religion.
Yeah.
And a Masonic religion honors the devil. And of course, the Blessed Virgin's parish there was Our Lady of Victories. And of course, Our Lady of Victories is Our Lady's victories over the devil. And so she came and asked for the parish to be, or the church to be dedicated to her Immaculate Heart. And with that done, now, no doubt the church was dedicated when it was consecrated, but it's to be, we might say, reconsecrated or rededicated again. And this is what the priest did, what he was told.
Yeah, it was December 3rd, 1836. And he performed this consecration. And not long, I think, now if I might have this story a little off, but I seem to remember hearing that he announced on Sunday morning at Mass that he was going to do this consecration. And
there weren't many people there, as usual.
As usual, yeah, that church was there were very few people who attended. But that night, maybe he did it at maybe
5 o'clock,
5 o'clock, something like that. The church was filled. And then Our Lady, I understand the congregation continued to come on a regular basis, and this church was Our Lady of Victory Church.
Yes.
And up until the time of Lourdes, Our Lady of Victory.
So it's 1836, Lourdes 1858.
Yeah, so Our Lady of Victory Church,
years.
For 20 years, this was the most visited pilgrimage site in France.
Oh, yes.
This church dedicated to Our Lady. And of course, we're in the Buffalo area, and it was this Our Lady of Victory Church that inspired Father Nelson Baker to dedicate his work to Our Lady of Victory, and then his basilica. Yeah, he did the basilica at the end of his life when he had been, had Our Lady of Victory as his patron and as praying to, and miracle after miracle with Our Lady of Victory.
Yes.
So, but it came ultimately from this. And
so Our Lady just spoke to this parish priest.
Yeah, she told him to consecrate his church to the Immaculate Heart of Mary. Now, from what I know, you could correct me on this, this was the first time that Our Lady, at least for first recorded time, that Our Lady had requested a specific consecration to her Immaculate Heart.
It could well be. I'm certainly on her Miraculous Medal, which was 6 years earlier. As you can see on the Miraculous Medal, there are the 2 hearts, the Sacred Heart and the Immaculate Heart. So it's not a new devotion, and St. John Eudes, who lived in the century before, was the first one to have the 2 hearts celebrated in a Mass or in the liturgy. And he promoted that in his devotion to both the Sacred Heart and the Immaculate Heart in his lifetime. He was, of course, very prodigious in his work. But yes, I'm not aware of any parish church being dedicated like this. It was a specific
And
request.
the fact that Our Lady asked for it. I think it was the first time now.
I think it's a good lesson for all. I mean, every parish priest and for the parish parishioners. I know I just met this man when I was in Rome not long ago. I've been in touch with him for years. He's been going around Australia getting people to dedicate their parishes to the Immaculate Heart. He's been very, very successful. I mean, I'm sure he would like to be more successful, but he's had about 58 parishes do that in Australia. So it's a very good practice.
Yes, well, we turn it over to her, and then she takes over.
Yes.
And so now the person that asks for special prayers what prayers were used, that we don't have. We might be able to find.
Well, I'm sure we could perhaps try and send it in, but certainly there. I mean, you can adapt. I mean, there are, as you know, John, the Consecration of Portugal to the Immaculate Heart of Mary, and that was composed by the Portuguese bishops, and you can use that. You can adapt that to, changing what words, for adapting it to a parish. Or
yes, yes, that's where they consecrated the Portugal to the Immaculate Heart, and they didn't say the world. Yes. They used the term Portugal 5 times.
Yes.
It was very clear that they were dedicating Portugal to Our Lady.
Yes, and of course you mentioned the fruits there. Among the other things that up to now they had many divorces, and at a certain point by 1960, 92% of the marriages were canonical,
yes.
in which the people before canonical, meaning Catholic Church canonical, meaning that they'd signed a paper saying, we understand that by being married in the church, we'll never apply for a divorce.
Can't even think about divorce.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. So that prayer that the bishops used actually is adaptable.
Yes.
And I mean, some of it is very specific about the red threat coming from the east and all of that. But that's.
I can still say the air is coming from surrounded by airs instead of saying coming from the east.
Yeah, I mean, you could be pretty creative with it. I mean, in a good way. And
so they can get that on our website if the prayer.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yes. And if they can't, they can phone in for it, and we can send it to them. So.
Yes. So anyway, this is in a way, this Our Lady of Victory Church is kind of it's interesting to look at Our Lady's appearances over the 19th century, and how each one, in a way, was preparing the groundwork for Fatima.
I find this interesting that it was on December the 3rd. It's the feast of Saint Francis Xavier. Okay. And you heard the story in Japan, where Saint Francis Xavier was the great missionary. Of course, even more so in India, but it was his feast day that.
Yes. Yes, and they brought the banner of Our Lady to Japan, but that's quite a story in itself. Yeah. But so anyway, consecration to Our Lady, whether personal or for a parish or
certainly personal. If they want a personal consecration, certainly Saint Maximilian Kolbe, but of course Saint Louis de Montfort, especially known for the formula for that, and there's books of that, and they can get that very easily for a personal consecration. They can also adapt that for a parish, I presume, as well.
So if you need any more information about this, please contact the Fatima Center, 1-800-263-8160, or send us an email, and we'll try to get you the prayers that you need. So thanks for joining us, and we will see you on the next broadcast.